afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass on supply chain management in the auto sector, specifically tailored for Indian MSMEs. We're thrilled to have a distinguished expert with us today, Mr. Harshad Kale, Managing Director and Operations Head at KGC Logistics. He is a seasoned professional with over 25 years of experience in logistics and supply chain management, particularly in the automotive industry. As a visionary behind KGC Logistics, Harshad has successfully transformed the company into a leading integrated logistics provider, partnering with top global brands such as Mercedes-Benz, Tata Motors, Jeep, Honeywell, and Exide. What sets Harshad apart in his dedication to technology-driven customized logistics strategies designed to enhance operational efficiency while reducing long-term costs, an approach specially designed and relevant to the evolving landscape MSMEs are navigating today. His deep understanding of aligning logistics with business growth ensures that businesses keep up and stay ahead of industry challenges, gaining a competitive edge. Today, we look forward to insights from his vast experience as he shares how data and strategic logistics can revolutionize supply chain management in the auto sector. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Harshad Kale. Harshad, welcome to MSME Masterclass.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Harshad, I've already introduced the topic, which is supply chain management in the auto sector for our attendees. Our first question to you for today is, how can Indian auto manufacturers optimize their supply chains to reduce lead times without compromising on the quality?
Without compromising on quality, optimizing supply chains to reduce lead times. This is an ongoing effort by all supply chain managers and all companies, all managements. But there is actually there is no one-size-fits-all solution here. And optimizing seen only in the context of reducing lead times without a finger on the costs would not really work, because focusing on one aspect may lead to a disruption in your budgets. So I would suggest, how can they optimize the supply chain to reduce lead times? I would suggest a cautious approach. First would be to, I would say, identify the key problem area or areas, and you need to form a strategy to tackle them. Is your problem area excessive inventory, or is it delivery inefficiency, or customer expectations? What is it that is increasing the lead times in your supply chains, or increasing the lead times? And each one needs to be tackled separately on its merits without really affecting the overall cost of your operations. At the same time, you need to keep the product and delivery quality intact. So my solution would be in this. If you ask me for a solution on this, it would be demand forecasting. It is a very, very key source of pressure on supply chains. Now you have got very good demand forecasting tools and softwares. So anticipating demand with optimal supply, you can better source your goods in a very timely and a very cost-effective way, without really compromising. So this would be a great way to reduce your lead times by knowing what you need to procure, what you need to order, what you need to move. By knowing that, by focusing on forecasting, you can really work on reducing your lead times without compromising on quality, without compromising on costs. That would be my suggestion to the various MSMEs or SMEs in the auto sector.
And Harshad, there is one topic that we've generally heard, which is on predictive analytics, and that's something that we want to understand from you as well. What, according to you, is the role that predictive analysis play in forecasting demand and inventory management for auto parts?
Again, this is kind of connected, like you said, to the previous questions, because demand forecasting is a very key source of pressure on supply chains. There is always this pressure of how much to procure, how much to order, how much to move. So predictive analysis, it will play a very, very important role in forecasting demand, planning, inventory, production, distribution for any MSME or any SME, especially relevant. And most of the OEMs are on a lean manufacturing model. They are on a JIT philosophy, on a JIT system. So, sudden disruptions aside, if you just keep them aside, there are patterns which can be used, patterns that can be captured by these predictive analytics, using now with AI and BI tools in forecasting the demand and inventory. And they will use complex algorithms to a very micro level to have a predictive forecast for customers, for your buying, ordering, moving patterns, and using this SMEs can in turn, I think you can scale up or scale down your inventories to be in a better position to match the increase or decrease in the demand from products. So this predictive analytics will play a very, very, very big important. First, it takes the pressure off the supply chain. If you have a good tool, if you have a good software, if you have invested, and if you are invested not only money but your energies and your expertise in these in demand forecasting, it will take off a lot of pressure on your inventory, a lot of pressure on the uncertainties that you're going to face in future.
Got it. And according to you, what are the most common supply chain disruptions faced by the automotive manufacturers, and how can they mitigate those?
Common supply chain disruptions faced by automotive manufacturers. Automotive being such I would say, such a vibrant and a large industry, all the possible disruptions that you are seeing nowadays, starting especially from the COVID pandemic. Supply chain disruptions faced by the automotive industry faces all of them, primarily because there is a very large supplier base for automotive companies. So not just supplier base, but even a customer base. So the products being made in one country are shipped to another. Parts are coming from various places. Which may not be particularly true about some other sectors where you can source your parts from a particular place. But actually, the fact is that we are living in volatile times. So what are the common supply chain disruptions? We can everything, geopolitical problems, large-scale natural disasters due to climate change, war or warlike situations across continents, and that leaves the companies, the automobile component manufacturer or the OEMs, extremely vulnerable to frequent disruptions, which has become the new constant actually. There was this old adage which said lightning strikes only once, but it does not apply anymore. And from a SME point of view, I think the next part of your questions was how can they be mitigated, So I would suggest certain measures to mitigating them, control measures that can go a long way in softening the impact of disruptions. See, remember the disruptions are going to be there; they're not going to be going away, and the various disruptions, the way they are just coming up, cropping up, we can only work on ways to mitigate them, to softening the impact. So the first and most important, I would say, measure would be to have a very, very workable business continuity plan. Now, this has taken a lot of, this has taken a lot of importance, especially post-COVID. And I say the word workable in apostrophe, because you should be in a position to put it in place when required, and it should be tested regularly. So point number one, I would say, is a BCP, as it is commonly called. So you should have a workable BCP, and it should be tested regularly. Second is you need to really strengthen your relationship with your partners, with your suppliers, and in turn test their business continuity plan very regularly. Have a check on your partners or have a check on your suppliers. Everything from credit rating. Now the disruptions. One of the disruptions is also sanctions being imposed across countries, and then people facing economic hardships because of these sanctions and all that. So you need to have a very good partnership. Now, this is a time, especially since the last 5-6 years, where you need to be very closely aligned with your partners and a supplier. I know for a fact that most of my customers, we have to submit our financials to them. We have to submit our business continuity plan, and we not only have to submit it as a formality or a process, but the BCP plan needs to be proved by us that yes, this is a workable BCP plan for us. So in turn, I would suggest the audience here, the managers of the people who are watching this, the companies, that they should strengthen their relationship with their logistics partners, with their suppliers. One more point would be one way to softening the impact or mitigating the risks would be, I would say, reducing dependence on a small number of suppliers. You can't be dependent on a very few people. Of course, this is depending on what kind of business what is the scale of business you're doing. But you can't be dependent on just one or two people. and you can't be dependent now on a particular geography also. Now, this will also play a very, very important role because of the geopolitical issues that have come up recently. You can't be dependent on suppliers in a particular geography. Say you have, you need to spread out, you need to spread out the risks, and you need to, for example, I mean, if I give a very, all your suppliers are coming in from, say, for example, China, just for the heck of it. If all your material is coming in from China, and any disruption in trade relations between India and China, and then your business is impacted heavily. So again, like I said, China was just an example, but you should try to spread them geographically also. And again, we go back to our point number 2, predictive analysis. So softening the impact of disruptions, predictive analysis can go a long way. And these tools can be used to strike a balance between bulk orders and inventory costs, But again, predictive analysis can help you there. Local issues are also very important. This geographical spread also applies to SMEs who are locally present. Typically, factories would have, say, hybrid factory, and I see an increase in production. My factory is not big enough, or I am not able to match it. So I invest in another place just in the same location. I have a warehouse next to my factory. So building everything in the same geographical location, it would be better. I would suggest to spread it, say, to another state or to another region, so that the problems in one region, the disruption in one region will not affect the whole company. I mean, the company as a whole. And with these improvement in the highways and connectivities in India, it is very, very desirable to have a spread, have your production facilities or your warehouses located across regions, across states if possible. Workforce level, having a majority of workforce, local workforce vis-a-vis your migrant workforces. Nowadays there is an increasing trend for companies to hire a labor contractor, and most of their workforce is migrant workforce. And like we saw in COVID, for no fault of them, they were just not able to come back. So we should have a product mix, not a product mix, a mix of people who are local as well as migrant, and whichever way. But again, the bottom line is, dependence on a small number of, say, whether it is location, whether it is type of people, whether it is suppliers, the dependence should not be there. So I think these are a few measures to mitigate the effects of these disruptions, which are given now in the current world that we are living in. And ultimately, I feel each company should build a strategy which is applicable to them and best suits their environment.
I remember you mentioned about just-in-time in one of your responses. Can you also share with our attendees how can MSMEs in the auto sector leverage just-in-time inventory systems, and what are the risks associated with it?
JIT is actually, I would call JIT a philosophy, just-in-time, or JIT is a philosophy. And the primary objective of any JIT philosophy is to eliminate any activity or activities that does not add value from your customer's perspective. So basically, it's a philosophy. It's a process change where wasteful expenditure or wasteful processes are eliminated from your complete process diagram. So leveraging this is, I would say leveraging is to take it to your advantage in your inventory system. First of all, by leveraging this, you can minimize your stock levels, So you don't buy and store anything that you don't need immediately, and you can get it later. So with this JIT philosophy, you can do that. This will free up your space. It will free up your cash flow. It will free up your resources. It will give you better flexibility to shift your production as per your customers' requirements, because you'll no longer be burdened with excess stock that you don't need. And most importantly, a JIT system, I believe, will it will improve your responsiveness to customer demand. That will show a huge improvement. And but see, this you spoke about JIT. It's not just a process change, but it's a philosophy, And I believe it's a cultural shift where you move from a regular process to a very lean manufacturing, lean supply chain process. It's a cultural shift. and it will include or it will involve positive contributions from everybody in your organization, including your suppliers, including your partners. They all have to be on board. The risks associated with the JIT systems are, first, the most obvious risk is, running out of stock due to minimal inventory levels. Sometimes you go so lean and then you have so less of inventory that you end up, there's a risk of running out of stock. It can either be caused by an excessive pull from the customer, which is a good thing, but then you don't have the inventory to fulfill the demand. So that's one risk. Risk two would be, I say, with the JIT system, you need to be dependent on very accurate forecasting tools. This is how you would build up a very lean inventory based on forecasting, and then you need to invest in them. And they're not cheap. But without them, now every day can be a crisis day for you. So that investment, when you go into a JIT philosophy, your dependency on forecasting tools, very accurate and very cutting edge forecasting tools, becomes very high. And third risk again is kind of related to the first two key. You are very vulnerable to supply chain distributions. You are immediately affected because you do not have the bandwidth, you do not have the room to maneuver around these disruptions. So this is a very big vulnerability that you are exposing yourself. But I personally believe in the long run, these are probabilities. But what is a given, what is a constant is the fact that a JIT philosophy, lean process will help you in the long run. I'm sure of that.
And can you also tell us what are the key performance indicators, KPIs as we call it, auto sector suppliers should monitor to assess the health of the supply chain?
Monitoring KPIs would be a very, very important function of a logistics team or a logistics manager, because with the, I would say, increasing outsourcing of processes, the logistics processes outside, monitoring them will have a lot of benefits. And what key performance indicators? I believe that at a header level, there are just a few which can give you a good perspective on the health of the supply chain. Monitoring them will give you a lot of benefits. First of all, it will help you to align your partners with your goals and objectives. It does not make sense. For example, if you have committed, say, 100% on-time ETA commitment to your customer, and your team or your partners are running at 90 or 95%, it will not make sense. It will pull your performance down with your customer. So similarly, monitoring these KPIs will, what they will do is they will pinpoint inefficiencies, or they'll pinpoint inefficient partners or the inefficient teams. And I also throw up some good performers. And regularly monitoring, I believe there are just 4 header level KPIs. We as a company, we in KGC Logistics, our customers also monitor us broadly on these. Of course, depending on the kind of operation you're involved in with them, there will be more. But to answer your question on a header level, one would be accuracy rate, which is a percentage of orders delivered without errors. That is how you can monitor them. One is the fill rate, which is percentage of orders delivered fulfilled on time. Not delivered, fulfilled. Are you fulfilling your orders, or are you or your partners, are they doing it? One would be the delivery rate. Again, on-time deliveries or within ETA, what is the percentage of shipments that have been sent to your customers on time? Or what is the percentage of shipments that you have received on time? And last is an inventory accuracy, where the percentage of system inventory, is it actually matching with your physical inventory? So on a broader level, accuracy rate, fill rate, delivery rate, and inventory accuracy are the 4 KPIs that companies, especially in the auto sector, should monitor very regularly. If they have internal systems, they should monitor their internal teams, and or they should monitor their logistics partners, the warehouse partners, to assess the health of their supply chain.
Let's move on to the next leg of our masterclass today, and we would like to ask you about sustainable practices on this one. How can MSMEs in the auto sector incorporate sustainable practices into the supply chains while remaining cost effective?
I would say if you as a company, you are incorporating sustainable practices, you are going to be cost effective. That's an affirmative statement that I'm making, because it's in the name, it's sustainable. It is going to take you in the long run. It is going to help you in the long haul. So it's a great way for contributing towards a better future. Many companies, irrespective of size and scale, they are building these sustainable processes into their supply chain. And how can the MSMEs in the auto sector incorporate? I would say the best way to go about it is to choose partners. First, have a sustainability commitment, have a sustainability target internally, number one. And number two would be to choose partners with a sustainability commitment. Partners who are willing to have sustainable processes in their organizations. Having a sustainability commitment internally, you have a few choices yourselves. What are the areas where you can where you can look at sustainable processes, changing your process to be more sustainable. One biggest, I would say, area is packaging. Cutting back on packaging. It's perhaps a big focus area for all companies. Paper, wood, wooden pallets, paper in form of cardboard boxes. So much of it is coming in. Plastics are coming in, plastics are going out. Plastics are again not friendly to the environment. So best way is to have a philosophy or have a commitment to reuse wherever possible. You have to keep reusing these items till you cannot reuse them again. You can ship your material in returnable bins to your customers, as well as you can use these returnable bins for material movement inside factories. You will see a huge drop in your consumption of material like wooden pallets, like paper boxes or cardboard boxes. And you can give your incoming wooden pallets, you can give a lot of packaging material to your packing vendors, who can in turn reuse them to send the material back to you, or they can give you credits for it. So this is cutting back on packaging is one way where you can, you can bring in sustainable practices in your organization. You can optimize your transportation. You can align with this involves a lot of alignment with everyone. You can align with your customer and suppliers to shift to bigger trucks, who can carry higher tonnage, who can carry more loads in the same number of trips, or use the same number of trucks to carry higher tonnage. You can optimize the packing sizes to make it possible to ship more units using lesser packaging, fewer vehicles. Last mile deliveries, you can insist on your transporters using CNG or battery powered EVs for last mile deliveries. Now CNGs are very common, and you can take your transporters or your logistics service providers in confidence. Tell them, hey, you invest in this and we're there to support you. And that way you can tell them to use the CNG, which is a greener fuel. EVs again, no fuel. And same for forklifts or MHEs that you're using inside your factories or warehouses. We can have a rule that we will not have any diesel powered MHEs in my organization. You can make your transport managers can make use of a lot of optimization tools for there are a lot of load planning tools. You have a certain load going to different destinations. How can you plan it more efficiently so that you can use lesser number of vehicles? How can you put more loads and do sequential deliveries instead of having 4 trucks going in four cities? Can you have 1 truck going into touching those 4 touch points? So these load optimization tools can help you. Again, in transportation, you can reduce your dependence on air freight, which is not only a costly way of it burns so much fuel, and you can shift to transportation by sea or railway. These are hey. One more thing that you can do is you can redesign your processes internally. Focus on technology and digitalization. Have a paperless culture, have a paperless environment where you don't cut back on printing. Don't print anything. And then you can have a paperless environment where you print only what is required to be printed, what is a compliance thing, only those can be printed. Everything goes on digital, everything goes on soft copies. And lastly, I would say, invest in renewable energy sources, like you can install solar panels on your factories or in your warehouses. And for your energy consumption, yes, it will involve a little bit of substantial investment maybe, but the long-term effects are going to be they're very advantageous to you. It will totally eliminate your power bills and thereby your dependence on the fluctuations of these charges. energy sources are only going to get costlier and rarer, and adopting to these changes will reduce our dependence on them and lead to a substantial reduction in your costs. Carbon footprint, government is giving a lot of tax incentives to you for reducing your carbon footprint, for going on the sustainable path, going down the sustainable path. And see, these practices will take you on a path of long-term savings and waste reduction. So adopting, I believe, sustainable practices in supply chains will bring in substantial savings in the long term, no doubt.
Absolutely. And according to you, Harshad, what are the advantages of implementing digital twins for real-time monitoring in the automotive supply chain?
Digital twins, they're a very new and upcoming concept, and I'm happy that you brought this up. So understanding a digital supply chain digital twin concept is basically a supply chain digital twins is a virtual simulation of your just for people who would be new to this concept. It's a physical it's a virtual simulation of your physical supply chain. So traditionally, most supply chain planning efforts are use a certain set of assumptions, and those assumptions, they're always set of, or rather they're always planned around stability, rationality, availability of supply. So with everything good, the supply chain planning efforts are carried on, and then separately it is work. There is a work going on the disruptions and how do we react to them and all that. So being a virtual simulation, I can give a very basic example in this. You're flying somewhere and your plane has to make an emergency landing, and somewhere at the back of your mind, that the pilot knows what's to do, right? But how does he do that? How does he know that? Either by trial and error, which would be a hugely risky thing, unless that pilot has been in such situations previously and he survived them, only then. But there is a very easy, I wouldn't say easy, but there's a risk-free way of doing it, which is using flight simulators. So it is very common in flying, where pilots use simulators, to simulate various emergency situations and how to react to them, so that they are ready to react to them when they happen in real time. Similarly, digital twins are a virtual simulation of your physical supply chain, where disruptions, problems, bottlenecks are simulated in a very risk-free environment, and you can work on how to counter, how to react to them, again in a very simulated environment, not in a real environment. So this is how the supply chain managements in companies, this is how they learn how to react to real disruptions and to real stoppages. So what are the advantages? The advantages is again numerous. At first, immediate advantages, it tests your supply chain design. It will test with all possible disruptions and all possible parameters. It will uncover the bottlenecks. It will expose the bottlenecks. It will uncover them. It will uncover your inventory related issues, or it will uncover inefficient lanes. You can improve your transportation planning based on this digital simulation. You can monitor and identify the risks, because there are so many risks thrown up in this virtual environment that you can really use to monitor them and identify them. You can identify your process improvements. I think you can streamline your forecasting tools based on these digital twins. It can help you. I think in conclusion, I think it can help you to understand and prepare for the impact of disruptions and help you to be in a better position to take decisions which are best suited to you.
Got it. And could you also throw some light for our attendees? What are some of the advanced inventory management techniques that can help MSMEs in the auto sector minimize stockouts and overstocking?
Advanced inventory management techniques, auto sector stockouts, overstocking, both are very, very undesirable, and I would not nightmarish, but very undesirable situations. So it is a constant threat to inventory. Stockout means you have no goods to supply. Overstocking is holding on to goods you don't need. That's blocking up your money. That's blocking up your space. So I think some various inventory management techniques, they can be used in isolation, or they can be used together. One very basic technique is the ABC analysis technique, where goods in your custody are classified into A category, B category, and C category. So A category, of course, are the ones which are the costliest. The B category are the mid-level in terms of cost. So this technique basically you bifurcate the goods in terms of cost, and C is some very low cost items. So typically you focus on the A category parts. You ensure that you don't have a huge buildup of inventory there, or you're not at a stock out position there. So you focus mainly on A category parts. B category is given the next importance, and C category. There is one materials resource planning method there. It's also called as the MRP method, where materials planning is a management control method, basically, in which you can order the inventory based on the sales forecast and actual sales that happen. So MRP system, they have an MRP system integrated in their ERPs. So data from various areas of the businesses where inventory exists is taken. Based on the data for the demand in the market, what is being supplied to the customers, the data is all populated, and the manager would place the orders based on what is going out. So a typical number of goods or a batch of goods are going out, the ordering would come in for those goods only. So that is one method of doing it. There is an economic order quantity or EOQ method, where the economic order quantity of each part is predetermined in the system. So, and this technique focuses on a decision regarding how much quantity of inventory to hold, irrespective of whether there is a demand forecast for it, or irrespective of. So, in this, the economic order quantity, a warehouse manager or a stock manager would typically, once that level falls below the quantity, that quantity is ordered, and it is replenished in your stocks. So this would be very helpful for mid-level, not very costly items which are going in, or which need a certain scale to bring in, or which need a certain scale to order. So these EOQ method really helps you in that. Then slightly similar to the EOQ is the minimum safety stock method, where each part is assigned a minimum safety stock, and with that, once that safety stock falls below or comes close to that level, there is an order going out for that part. Now, for example, if you have a part or an item in your warehouse or your factory, which is say 10,000 units, and the minimum safety stock for that is pre-assigned in the system as say at 4,000. So when your consumption takes the inventory to say 5,000, there is a process of procurement and ordering which starts, so that that part comes in before the minimum safety stock is breached. This is an important tool for goods which have a longer lead time, and which maybe are coming from abroad, and it will take a few weeks or a few months to reach you. So it is always better to have this inventory technique, so that you don't get into a stock out position ever. There is one more process called VED, where we call it vital, essential, and desirable. So the goods in your warehouse, the goods in your inventory, they are divided into three parts, vitals, essentials, and desirables, and mostly used for controlling your inventory based on the nature of importance. So by name, vital parts are extremely important parts. We call them, in automobile language, we call them knockout parts. So their absence basically will, I would say, stop your production processes completely, either yours or your customers. So these are the vitals, irrespective of value. These are the vital parts, the knockout parts. They are normally single-sourced parts, imported with no immediate alternatives. If you don't have them, then you are dependent on some particular vendor for those parts coming in. So very higher level of inventory is required for them. Minimum stock order is required for them. Essentials will be, the mid-level parts, which will cause a slight disruption in their absence, but it can slow you down, but they can be procured at a at reasonable intervals. You have multiple options for procuring them in terms of suppliers, so you can maintain them on a just-in-time basis. So these are the essentials, and the desirables basically have a very low level of. Normally, desirables we keep a very low level of inventory. They're not very important. Sometimes they're add-on parts, and I would say they are Z category parts, which are not they don't move for a long time. So this is one more system where you can divide your inventory and focus on the vitals and the essentials and keep the desirables. So these are the various inventory techniques that automotive suppliers or MSMEs can use to have a very lean and a very effective inventory in their warehouse or the factory.
Harshad, my next question to you is, how can automotive companies design more agile supply chains to respond to rapid changes in consumer preferences?
Okay. Agile supply chains. Again, agile supply chains is one of my, I would say, favorite topics, because understanding a supply chain and having an agile supply chain is a very, very, it's a very, very in concept. And basically, what are supply chains here? What are supply chains? Supply chains are a set of processes, that enable businesses to channel resources more efficiently, and they can enhance inventory management. And all this is focused towards increasing productivity and maximizing profits. So typically, an agile supply chain will enable a business to, say, identify and change certain aspects within the supply chain, and certain aspects of the processes, and adapt to the changes of the customer demand. So agile is something that happens, it is very fast. You can do it, there's nothing rigid about it. Once you have designed a supply chain, now irrespective of what the customers want, irrespective of whether it is working for you or not, that stays the same for 1 year. That's not going to happen. That's not an agile supply chain. In fact, it's the exact opposite of it. Because see, gone are the days when a success, in the automotive perspective, and I would say, gone are the days when a successful model had a run of, say, 5-6 years before any changes, upgrades, variant change. These fast changing technologies have brought in the product life, shelf life of these automotive models to just, I guess, 1 or 2 years max when they start changing. The changes can be design changes, the changes can be in terms of technology, the kind of materials used. So you need to have a very, very agile supply chain to meet this. So how do you design an agile supply chain? We're coming from a fact where you already have a supply chain model in place. How do you design, how you put in an agility element in there? So you need to make your supply chain very flexible, first of all. Designing an agile supply chain, you should focus primarily on making it very flexible. Models which will enable you to react to interruptions without delays. How do you do that? You make use of tools, predictive tools, forecasting tools, the supply chain twins. But you need to bring in a lot of flexibility into your supply chains to make it agile. It has to be resilient, I believe. Resilience is basically your ability to recover, because irrespective of what we do, what you do, what I do, the disruptions and the breakdowns are going to happen. But is my supply chain, is my company, is my supply chain, am I able to recover from it? So this is the resilience that you need to build in your supply chain. This is how do you build resilience into it? You need to identify the causes, the risks involved, and the potential consequences. And once you do that, once you have a fair idea of what is going to happen, you can work on the mitigation procedures and make your supply chain more resilient. And that will take your supply chain from being to an agile supply chain, And once working on the mitigation processes, you can have contingency plans in place, and you can ensure that the supply chain remains robust. So flexibility, resilience, and an agile supply chain will have visibility everywhere. It will be a real-time supply chain, if you can say. It would be increased visibility from all the relevant information from all stakeholders you are getting. So when the real-time data is available, it is easier to track, plan, make decisions. And I think the difference between a regular supply chain or a non-agile supply chain and an agile supply chain would be your ability to track, inventory and status of material, and that will also increase your efficiency. and you can pinpoint the bottlenecks and reduce the costs by addressing the issues before they happen. So this visibility, so flexibility, resilience, and visibility are the three most important aspects that you need to work on into making your supply chain into a very agile supply chain. And I think the last concluding factor that should contribute towards it is growth. And by growth, I mean improvement. Agile supply chains should allow or have ample scope for improving the quality, speed up the delivery times, and control the costs. So this results in a more effective supply chain that where you can reach higher levels of growth and productivity. So we have this flexibility, reliance, resilience, growth, and visibility. These are the four main aspects where you can supply chains can be applied to your production, scheduling, procurement, storage. Best tips I would say to create an agile supply chain would be to refine your processes, pinpoint the infrastructure and technology, and have internal changes into your processes so you can work on building a very agile supply chain. You have to upgrade your technologies. You have to bring your tech up to speed on the various tools that are available, the various softwares that are available, and with modern technologies you can streamline and automate the systems. And I believe the human factor, you need to build a very strong team, a strong team of your managers, of your factory managers, of your production managers, engineers, your software IT team within your organization. And all these can work together towards one goal. They can not only identify the problems, but they can also suggest solutions for the same. And once you have these things in place, and once you know the goals of your supply chain, I think you can build it, you can work it all together, bundle it up together to build a very agile supply chain for your organization.
Understood. And my last question to you, Harshad, for today is, what are the benefits of partnering with logistics providers that offer real-time visibility and tracking for the auto sector?
Okay. So you see benefits of partnering with suppliers or partners that offer real-time. Now, see, real-time visibility will, of course, offer an unparalleled window to every facet of your supply chain. When you have got real-time data, it's not just about ensuring inventory visibility at all times. It's about understanding how every piece of your supply chain processes fit together in real time. So, enhanced supply chain visibility means what? It means being able to identify bottlenecks as they happen, when they happen, assess the impact, and adjust operations on the fly, on the run, to maintain efficiency and service levels. So, what are the benefits? One is increased efficiency. Your organization turns very efficient because efficiency in logistics is all about reducing waste. So, whether it is time, resources, space, real-time data allows you the benefit of optimization of fulfillment operations, from inventory tracking to 3PL order fulfillment. Every process you can track here in real-time tracking. So I would say increased efficiency, and one more very, very big benefit I would say is better decision making. The insights that you gain from real-time information are invaluable for making informed decisions, quick decisions. And with access, with real-time tracking, you have up to the minute information. Managers can pivot the strategies, allocate resources wherever required, more here, less there. And again, problem anticipation, it will help you. So monitoring these, it leads to better decision making into real-time tracking. And all this builds up to customer satisfaction. When you have got complete control, complete visibility of the goods in your supply chain. The most significant impact of real-time logistics will be on your customer satisfaction, because today's customers, they expect fast, reliable service. All real-time logistics is the key to delivering these expectations, And now with this, you will have the ability to provide accurate instant updates, order status on your ETAs, everything. So this will lead to an enhanced customer satisfaction. I believe you can build the trust and loyalty with customers, and you can set up your brand in this competitive market. Okay, these are the people who can be trusted, who give us complete visibility in real time. So these are the benefits of partnering with because see, this is the visibility you're going to get is what you're going to get from your partners if your processes are outsourced. So these are the benefits of having partnering with companies, logistics providers who give you real-time visibility.
With that, we've come to the end of our episode today. Harshad, thank you so much for being a part of Masterclass and sharing your insights on supply chain management in auto sector with our attendees. I think this is our second or third episode on auto so far, and I am 100% sure that your insights will help our attendees make informed decisions going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure. I hope I've been able to not just answer your questions more than a Q&A session. I hope I've been able to discuss my ideas and my concepts, and I hope people will gain an insight from these. And any further questions you have, I'm open to queries whenever next you connect with me.
Thank you so much, Harshad. For our attendees who are online, if you want to see the current episode, if you've missed any part of the current episode, or if you'd like to see any of the previously shot episodes, you can go on YouTube, type GSW1 MSME, and you will find all our episodes uploaded there. Thank you once again, Harshad. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you. Thanks.